academics, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pleasure we warmly welcome each and every one of you for the 42nd edition of the inaugural lecture series brought forward to you by the Faculty of Graduate Studies of the University of Montreal. And today, we have an interesting topic up for discussion. So without further ado, let's commence today's proceedings. To officially commence today's proceedings by introducing the Professor of the Day, Professor S.A.D. Thushara Subasinghe, I will respectfully invite Professor M.Y. Gunasekara, Head of the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering.
Very good evening to you all. Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Dean of Faculty of Graduate Studies, dear colleagues, dear students, and all joining through internet. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Professor Thushara Subasinghe, who will deliver the inaugural lecture today on the appointment to the grade of Professor in the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering at the University of Montreal. Professor Subasinghe began his academic journey at the University of Montreal, where he completed his bachelor's degree in Chemical and Process Engineering in 2008. Soon after graduation, he spent 2 years as a production engineer at MAS Holdings, gaining practical experience in manufacturing and lean practices. He then joined the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering as an instructor before heading to Zhejiang University in China for postgraduate studies. There he earned his master's degree and his PhD in chemical engineering and technology. He rejoined the University of Montreal in 2017 as a senior lecturer and has been part of the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering ever since. Professor Subasinghe teaches undergraduate courses in renewable energy, chemical kinetics, and nanotechnology, and postgraduate modules in Introduction to Chemical Engineering and Sustainable Process Design. Alongside his academic duties in the University of Montreal, he has served as a visiting lecturer at the Institute of Chemistry, Ceylon, and at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, where he has taught fundamentals of chemical and process engineering. Throughout his career, he has been involved in several funded projects, both as a principal investigator and also as a co-investigator, supported by the National Research Council, National Science Foundation, and the Senate Research Committee of University of Montreal. From these projects, postgraduates have been produced who are now employed in Sri Lankan state universities or pursuing further higher studies in foreign research institutes. His research work centers on heterogeneous catalysts, advanced materials, microfluidics-based separation, sustainable chemicals, and the circular energy economy. Among his current projects are the production of biodiesel from waste cooking oil using heterogeneous catalysts, the enhanced separation of carbon microspheres for supercapacitor electrodes, and the biochemical conversion of rice straw. Beyond the university, Professor Subasinghe has contributed to national development efforts in multiple sectors. He serves in the cabinet-appointed project committee for the establishment of an export-oriented petroleum refinery and associated processing center in Hambantota. He also chairs the committee tasked with developing a comprehensive policy framework for the bunkering sector and is a member of the advisory board on petroleum products at the Sri Lanka Standards Institution. He has served in the advisory committee for the paint, printing materials, and chemical industries sector in the same institution. He has been internationally recognized with the One Belt, One Road Scientist Fellowship from China. He has also received Research Excellence Awards from the University of Montreal. Today, as he delivers his inaugural lecture, we have the opportunity to hear directly from someone who has moved steadily from student to professor while maintaining a strong connection between academic research, teaching, and national development needs. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Thushara Subasinghe.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, madam. First of all, good afternoon. First of all, I thank Vice Chancellor of the University of Maldives for the invitation and the Faculty of Graduate Studies and the staff for organizing this event. Then my title will be Catalysing the Growth of Sri Lankan Chemical Processing Industry. Before I start this session, I will tell something about me, in addition to madam's introduction. I spent 13 years in state schools, starting from Garani to Gala and then Peradini Central College and finally Ramalaj College, Cambridge. And then I moved to the University of Maldives, where I again enjoy state funds for 4 years. Sri Lankan taxpayers' money and also money from our natural resources. And then I moved to, after short stay in my holding, I went to the Zhejiang University, which is located in Hangzhou. Very beautiful city. I think Prof has visited that city. It's a very beautiful one. So I got privileged another 7 years there with the state funding from that here China. So my point is, during this lengthy period, I enjoyed a lot of state fundings like NSA grants and also S.A.D grant and China Scholarship Council grants, University Scholarship. So and finally, more importantly, One World Scientist Fellowship. This is a very interesting period. Actually, this is the time where COVID outbreak happened in China. I remember during our lab stay, my colleague Professor Boba told that there's something spreading in Wuhan. So, I was lucky that I narrowly escaped from there. So, however, we did really good work. It's a really well-funded project that we published more than 3 papers in my physics area. And I consider these privileges as a loan from taxpayers from both countries, Sri Lanka and China. I have very little to do for the PR China, but I think I can do a good service to Sri Lanka and I'm determined to do that. I have determined to contribute to the growth of Sri Lankan chemical process industry. And this presentation is about this commitment and also the support needed by the others in our industry. So, since this is a public lecture, I will start from very basic definition. Most of the audience here at the PS boardroom are chemical engineers, so they will find this is very basic. However, for the audience in the general, the chemical process industry is a collection of sectors that convert raw materials such as petroleum, natural gas, surprisingly air and water, and minerals into higher value products through chemical and physical processes. In Sri Lanka, this sector covers around 25 to 28% of GDP with value addition to $30 billion per annum. We have major industries, petroleum refining and petrochemicals. It's around $4 billion worth industry, and agrochemicals and fertilizer. Recently, we had a really big plant opening in Lankan PLC. That's SSP plant. They have it. I will discuss it later. And paint and coatings, adhesives, rubber industry, plastic, and textile and apparel is a really big industry. While we contribute mainly to textile, in apparel, we do some critical chemical compliances and those aspects in apparel industry. So this is a $5 billion industry at this moment, and cement and construction chemical. And this is a really big area. There are many industries, but we will focus mainly on these things. Okay. Here in this industry, we mainly value add to the imports and then value add addition for the export. The reason I tell this, like we have some opinion among our policymakers and general public that we should limit the imports, we should increase our imports, and we should increase our export. And I think the recent actions on Trump, I think it's eye-opening for all of us. No, we can't do that kind of strategies. We have to have balance between import and export. Okay? We can't only export by reducing import, and also we have to be careful where we export. So we have to make import from them also. Okay, otherwise it's not fair for them, and they will take actions. Okay, so if we talk about petroleum industry, this is the CDSL report, the most recent one, 2025 one. So you can see that from 2015 to 2025, there's the importation of crude oil, finished products, and also coal is listed here. And you can see it is varying, but actually this varying is because of the rapid changes of the crude barrel of crude oil. Okay, so you can see that starting from 2015 to 2025, there are rapid changes. And in 2022, there's this $100 peak. Okay, this is the our economic crisis time. And in 2026, I think as per the spokesman of the CPC, the crude oil barrel he spent around 130, that maximum. Okay. So if we take this graph and expand it go to B in the 2025 values, you can see that in 2025, crude oil plus finished product together it is $4 billion importation, 850 million for crude oil and 3,150 million for finished product. This finished product portfolio consists of petrol 92, 95, and diesel, auto diesel and super diesel, kerosene, LPG, jet A1, that is aviation fuel, HF4, that is marine fuel, and also power plant for the surplus tank, C.D. power plants, and naphtha again for power plants, but naphtha is a very valuable chemical which can go for the valuation of the chemical industry. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have a petrochemical industry at this moment, so we sometimes export this, and most of the time this goes to the C.D. power plant, surplus from there, it goes to there. Okay. And we have again, like special boiling point solvents and bitumen, these are small portfolios. However, with this crude oil, we can't produce all of this portfolio. Actually, this is the finished product portfolio, which we bring from other countries including. However, with crude oil processing, because we have really all the refinery now around 60 years. So with the present refinery, we process, we have capacity up to 50,000 barrels per day capacity. So we produce petrol 95, 92, diesel auto, and kerosene, LPG very small amount, and jet A1, HF4, we produce these. However, if we can invest in and expand the capacity, the CPC capacity, as well as if we can invite other countries to invest in our space, especially if China is showing tremendous interest to have a petroleum refinery, especially in Hambantota port, near Hambantota port. Okay, so still it's ongoing project going with them, like negotiations are going on. It's not finalized. So I think this is a really good time for us to expand our refining capacity. The reason is with this expanded capacity, we can go for a strategic petroleum storage, and also we can purchase when the prices are lower, and then keep it for a long time. This crude oil can be kept for a long time without much trouble. And we have tankers also in areas like Trincomalee. So I think we should go for capacity expansion. Why? Because it will increase the value addition opportunity, and also in crude oil processing, there's a special gain that's called volume gain. With a modern refinery, we can go for a much volume gain by crude oil processing. Okay, so in refineries, we have that value addition opportunity in Sri Lanka, as well as we have the volume gain when we are processing crude oil in Sri Lanka. So while having this opportunity, so I must bring this fact also to your attention. This is the export composition as per the CBSL 2025 report. I will forget about other things, but I will focus on the petroleum product only here. It is 950 million USD export, whole petroleum product export. This includes Gateway 1, naphtha, and HFO. We are exporting through our Bandar Naik Airport and also our major ports in Sri Lanka. So that 4 billion import is not a really burden, because there's a value addition happen here, and also we are providing services to them. Then service charges there. And also, more importantly, by refining and also storing and processing and servicing, we are building a really big capacity in Sri Lanka. Because I personally know that employees, engineers in Sri Lanka Petroleum Corporation, they usually, after their retirement or even during the service time, they go to the Middle East countries and go for really good salary packages. So the capacity building also happening in refineries. And I must mention that CPC is providing around 5 to 6 training placement every year for our department. So that is also a part of national capacity building. I like to bring your attention to another major changes happening in CPI in Sri Lanka. That is SSP plant recently introduced by Lankan PLC. It is a people investment because it's a public liability company. If you're interested, you can buy shares from Colombo Stock Exchange. This company is listed there. So we can consider as a people company. And they have initiated the 50 metric ton per year plant, SSP plant, single superphosphate plant, that will cater 80% of Sri Lankan need. The main raw material phosphate is coming from Pawala, that is again coming from Lanka Phosphate Limited, that is, although it's a limited liability company, it is a government one. Okay? The government has some ownership of that company. Okay? Therefore, this is people working for people, and the profit is going for the people. Okay? And for the SSP plant, that the most important news is not that actually. The important part is the sulfur. Because to produce SSP, theoretically we need for the 50,000 metric ton, we need 18,000 metric ton per year. That's a theoretical value, but practically this will be different. So with this plant, we have a really big opportunity. Why? Because prior to this plant, we needed only 3,000 metric ton per year in Sri Lanka. That was our demand. Mainly, it was contributed by India. We imported to India. Sulfur we import from India. And to have a national initiative, to have a Sri Lankan sulfuric plant, that was not enough amount. But now, with this addition, now it is really good time for us to have a sulfuric plant. It's a really good moment. Why I emphasize this need is because in it to SO4 sulfur. Imagine we bring from other countries, but actually we can have that in Sri Lanka too, because we have a 50,000 metric barrels per day refinery in Sri Lanka. But however, they are not in a condition to provide pure sulfur at this moment. So even if we bring sulfur from other countries, especially in the UAE area, they're using sulfur, but the other components are from water and air. Okay, oxygen from air, and also H2O is coming from water. So we can convert our air and water as a raw material in this initiative. So our operating capital will be really low for this kind of initiative. So I briefly explain the situation about phases of Sri Lankan chemical processing industry. I don't have much time to explain everything, but we are not in a very bad situation, but still we can do a lot better than this. So for that, we need a really big movement towards that. So I have identified the 5 areas which will energize, which will catalyze the growth of the Sri Lankan CPI. The enhanced value addition, we do some certain value addition to our products, our raw materials. I don't deny that, but we have to go for the enhanced value addition. And we have to introduce new chemical feedstock, and also we have to enhance the utilization of locally sourced feedstock and R&D, research and development. And also this I have not seen much our people are talking about the climate impact, considering the climate impact for the Sri Lankan CPIs, and I will discuss about that. And more importantly, capacity building. So I will do my speech under these 5 sections. Okay. So first let's move to the value addition. So I think we all know that now EVs are really booming when it comes to the EVs. The steering and also the computer control, motors, everything is fine, really good. Okay, there's no issue with that. But what we are struggling is the EV batteries. I consider Sri Lanka is responsible for this. Okay, for these expensive batteries, and also the lagging, the technological lag in the EV batteries. Why? Because we have the best graphite in the world, that's green graphite. We need a minimal level of purification for this certain graphite. But in Sri Lanka, we have a limited mining operations for the green graphite. So this gap is filled by other countries, especially China. Their graphite is not pure. They do tremendous amount of chemical cleaning. Chemical treatments in that, and then that is how they make the battery quality graphite. However, I believe that in Sri Lanka we have global graphite. It's a very strong, and it's a PLC, it's a public limited company. They have combined with some American company now. So I hope we should explore and we should increase the capacity for the graphite. With this, we can the EV batteries. Okay, and for the mineral sand and heavy mineral industry like limonite, rutile, zircon, the thing is we have a deposit, but these deposits are not very big one, like not the biggest in the world, like very small deposits we have. Therefore, we need to go for the ultimate value addition. Otherwise, if we keep sending raw ilmenite and rutile zircon, we will not get the best out of that. There's another opportunity in the, especially tea industry. It is actually there's a 58% of value addition is there now. On orthodox tea and this raw tea only we export is limited amount now. But however, this value addition is mainly a supply chain value addition. They are not fundamental value addition like where we are not doing much extractions. We are not building new products based on our tea. Okay. However, I think there's still it's a very huge area for this development. And when it comes to that activated carbon, we are the leading producer. However, we as chemical engineers, we must see why activated carbon is used. Activated carbon is used for catalysis and also for treatment. There's application there. So why don't we produce the application? Why we don't cater directly to the application rather than sending activated carbon? Okay? And areas like Ceylon cinnamon, still 90% is exported as raw waste. So in this area, separation, extraction, drying, a lot of value addition we can do. We can mix modern technologies like supercritical carbon dioxide extraction. So we can introduce a lot of technologies into this area. So I will present one of my research, very early research when I came to Sri Lanka. I got opportunity to work with the USKP team led by Professor Kumarasinghe. There, due to the limited budget, we purchased tube furnace from China, and we developed it to a chemical vapor deposition unit. Because if we directly purchase this, it will be a really high cost. However, we were able to produce graphitized carbon spheres using carbon sources, a variety of carbon sources. And we published this in 2021. So for the carbon sources in Sri Lanka, we can go for this capable CVD is a technology where we can't produce bulk amount of graphene or carbon spheres with that. You can only produce limited amount. However, those will be super in quality and this will be extremely value added products in this domain. Okay. And another research I did in this domain is microfluidics based separation. This is part of my 1x1 road scientist fellowship. So what we did there is like usually separation is based on phase differences, weight differences, or boiling point differences. However, in this project, we worked to separate carbon products. Separate small, here we focus on carbon products based on the surface properties. So, so when it comes to the carbon materials, the carbon materials are especially important because of their surface properties, enhanced specific surface area, and also the functional groups on carbon surfaces. So how to separate similar into one category? So this is really important when we produce supercapacitors and also battery materials. Why? Because if the heterogeneity is increased in carbon materials, there will be internal currents forming because of the charging capacity differences. So we need a homogeneous sample to produce excellent batteries. For that, we can use this kind of technologies. We published 3 papers, including one in Sri Lankan conference. These kind of advanced technologies can incorporate it with Sri Lankan resources, and then we can do value addition, especially for our graphite deposits. Okay? And the other topic is research. In research, when it comes to the CPI research, we have only 2 state departments. As I know, there's no private universities running chemical process department. We have around 30 plus senior and young academics in permanent basis. So I don't see this small number as a weakness. I see this as a very strong point. Why? Because we can laser focus on developing these facilities to cater our industry. For this, we need to focus on state funds, not international funds. The reason is international funds are usually part of the bigger picture of their countries. EU grants are based on their national, EU is a collection of nations, so as part of their big picture. But however, for the Sri Lanka, we need to have state funds for our industry, since our industry is really impactful and covering around $30 billion in GDP. I think we need to establish KPIs for industries to have collaboration with state universities, if there's private universities, and also to check whether these institutions, especially state institutions, are consuming the R&D budgets fully. The reason is I have worked with many state-owned chemical industrial institutes. Most of them, I don't see they utilize the full amount of their R&D budgets. It's really unfortunate because they can easily combine with state universities and consume that budget meant for that year. Those are not meant to send back to the treasury. So we should implement KPIs for the institutional heads of such state enterprises to consume their R&D budget fully, and also to increase the successful collaboration, not just MOUs, but successful collaborations with the state universities. And also, since we have very limited number of permanent staff members in this area, I think we can easily provide access for information from the top journals, because still we are struggling to find out the information. Usually what we do is we contact our students at foreign institutes and then get papers from them. So we can easily have our own program for access for information and also financial support for patents. In this domain, if I add my contributions, works with the mono and bimetallic catalyst. So when it comes to the catalysis in Sri Lanka, we have very limited applications. We have a major application in Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, because they have platform unit where they utilize 13,000 kilograms of platinum and rhenium catalyst, bimetallic catalyst there. Actually, this catalyst system is provided by United States through UOP, Universal Oil Product Company, and that is provided and maintained by that company. But rather is troubleshoot and maintained by other countries, we can build our expertise. So I will present one of the research I did on mono and bimetallic catalyst, okay, during my stay for the PhD in China. Here, we all know that when it comes to the palladium, platinum, gold, these are very expensive metals. Okay, to incorporate these metals to the industrial atmosphere is really difficult because it's super expensive. However, if we combine these expensive metals with the low value metal like nickel, so we can enhance the properties while reducing the cost of the catalyst. So this is my experiment also on that, because palladium is one of the remarkable catalysts for hydrogenation. Yeah, so here from nitrogen to aniline conversion, this is a mass scale reaction in the world, aniline to nitrogen to aniline. So for this reaction, palladium is really effective. However, palladium is expensive. But in this effort, what I did is I had thought like if we can bring palladium to the outer shell of the nanoparticle and put nickel into the inner core, we can have uh, the catalyst properties same while reducing the expenses of the catalyst. So therefore, with the ligand in I've developed a ligand supported method to bring out palladium to the outer surface. Here, these are these 10 images and also XPS images. Okay, so I proved that we can increase the surface of palladium up to the 62% in the mixture. Okay, and then with 10 images, I proved that those are very small, like the average diameter is 2.159 meters. Okay? So, so we have our expertise in Sri Lanka. We have capabilities, and if we can combine the Sri Lankan application, so because we have a major chemical process platform unit with 30,000 kilograms of catalyst there. So for the troubleshooting and also for the improvements, if we can involve with them, if we can work with them, there is a really big opportunity for the national capacity building as well as to save money for our country. And the third one is local feedstock. I will bring one example to this area. This is I was a co-investigating this research. The Professor Sanja was the principal investigating this research. So we have a chemical called 5-HMF. Chemical name is 5-hydroxymethyl furfural. Here we can convert hemicellulose into the HMF, and this HMF can convert into the multiple chemicals in the biofuel domains or polymer domain or pharmaceutical domain. So this chemical will work as a platform chemical where the investor can select where he is driving the investment. But however, we can start with our cellulose, hemicellulose, this biomass resources. The thing is, here we have in our country, we have a major industry, sugar industry, in Kalwatha, Sevanagala, in Metimale. And in Hingurana, I think it's not fully operational. However, we have fully operational sugar industry. In this industry, the major production is based on sugar and ethanol. However, without affecting their product portfolio, we can take the bagasse and then by separating hemicellulose from bagasse, we can go for 5-HMF and started different industry, like the same to the petroleum industry, we can go for a multiple value addition schemes. When it comes to the sugar industry, Sri Lanka, we only cater 10% of Sri Lankan need. That means that's another 9 times. We can expand it another 9 times in Sri Lanka, while catering to the national needs like this. And the importance of an initiative like this is we will not affect the major output like sugar and ethanol. It will not conflict with that because we will take a waste stream and then do this valorization. And not only local feedstock, we have to go for a new feedstock. In Sri Lanka, we have a huge demand for LNG because I think you may have heard about Subadana power plant. It is capable of handling LNG. Not only LNG, it can handle LNG plus around 30% of green hydrogen. So, however, the problem is in Sri Lanka, we don't have a way to bring LNG to Sri Lanka. Recently I got the opportunity to evaluate the economic potential of isotankers to bring isotanker-based supply chain to Sri Lanka. I got this opportunity from the Minister of Energy. However, it seems it's not a very financially feasible one because of the complex parameters involved in that proposals. However, another proposal is there is to have a floating storage regasification and with somehow like this is a really big opportunity for Sri Lanka to tap this because LNG is the combustion efficiencies are very high, plant factors are very high. Although this is a petroleum-based fuel, this is considered as an interim solution towards the sustainability. Okay, LNG is preferred than heavy fuels or diesel. However, the thing is we don't have a way to bring this to Sri Lanka. And with LNG, the most important point is LNG is in Sri Lanka. We have a generation plan by Ceylon Electricity Board that they have a generation plan for around from 2025 to 2045. There they have clearly identified the need for the LNG for Sri Lankan power generation. However, as chemical process professional, LNG is not only valuable as fuel source, this is much more valuable as a chemical feedstock. So we can start urea production and also we can start hydrogen generation if we want that path, but I think we have better path than that for hydrogen. So this is a very timely for Sri Lankan chemical process industry as well, not only for power generation. This is a really important need for Sri Lankan chemical industry as well. And with LNG, I told about green hydrogen. This is economically it is challenging because this sector needs a really considerable amount of investment. However, for particular segments in Sri Lanka, like marine industry, like for the ports, especially for marine ports, we can combine these technologies. Why? Because in a port, we have ships coming from the latest ships coming from the world, and they need green ammonia and also green ethanol. There's a movement in the world with International Maritime Organization to convert the fleets of the world toward the renewable energy. So we can tap this potential with green hydrogen. I disseminated my knowledge in one of the topics. paper like the AVFP, and as well as I got the opportunity to disseminate his opinions on hydrogen workshop organized by Ministry of Energy as well as World Energy Council. And I contributed as a stakeholder, for the Sri Lanka National Hydrogen Roadmap, where I contributed only as a stakeholder. And then I got another opportunity to write technical report on renewable energy, storage and green hydrogen. There I contributed as a author. And more importantly, recently I got another opportunity to work as a chairman of a committee to formulate a policy guideline on the bunkering industry. There, we propose incorporation of green methanol, green hydrogen, and green ammonia, the bunkering facilities in Sri Lankan ports. The reason is perhaps we are not technologically advanced yet to do this. However, we can allow other countries, the developed nation, to come to Sri Lanka and then open up their facilities, so we can gradually transfer those technologies to our country. Okay, so we should not wait until our capacity is built. We have to open for the world, let them to invest, and especially with our involvement, and then we can transfer these technologies slowly, or at least slowly, into our country. And this area I haven't seen many academics discuss. However, climate impact is considerably impacting on Sri Lankan chemical process industry. Recent big cyclone actually paralyzed our beverage industry, because Coca-Cola company and also Pepsi is situated near the Kalani River. Coca-Cola in Paduela near my home, and then Pepsi is in the Hangal area. So both of their operations are severely damaged by the cyclone, and a lot of companies' storage facilities and processing facilities were damaged by this climate impact. Recent big crisis. Okay. And my focus is on this climate impact on the salt industry. I have ongoing SRC grant for this research. One RS who will be working under me. So I think in Sri Lanka salt industry is entirely work with this solar power, the solar salt and are there. So due to the critical nature of crystalline process, any disruption to this process will severely damage the output. Therefore, this climate change is impacting on this area. In Sri Lanka, now we have really good policies and implemented the policies in industry for safety, like fire safety, for chemical safety. However, it's still not addressed. The climate-related safety issues are not addressed properly in our industry, and also in the process designing experiment, like in the process designing exercises, we are not considering the climate impact clearly. Therefore, I propose like we have to work in this area methodically to identify what are the key vulnerabilities we have in the CPI and what are the solutions. I'm proposing a PVD salt, vacuum drying solution as a solution for this problem in the salt industry. However, this is ongoing work. Finally, my focus is on capacity building, because in Sri Lanka, we have 80 students every year coming to our department. Around 50 is going to the University of Peradeniya. We have a huge responsibility as only to State Department in Sri Lanka for to build the matching capacities for this industry. I will tell one example. During our recent curriculum review, I introduced one subject, introduction of chemical management subject, to our final year. I went through a careful capacity building before introducing this. I got the UNIDO TOT training of the trainers training. And then I practiced in industry for a certain time with this domain, and then went for that subject introduction. And also, I'm involving with ISO 17024 scheme for certified persons to certify people in this domain. I have already certified two chemical management professionals through an independent organization. I'm on the exam actually there. And also I introduced, I was a coordinating examiner for the subject. Again, this is a new subject for Sri Lanka, the chemistry and green chemistry for processing teams. This is my individual effort on capacity building. However, I believe the capacity building should be a collective effort. So for this kind of effort, we need a methodical approach, and also it should be a well-funded one. Local funds are preferred here also. The reason is when foreign funds comes, they are coming as a big picture. It is beneficial for those countries. Okay? But if we want development of our nation, the funds should be centered for our needs, our demands. And I see this is critically needed in Sri Lankan chemical process industry. We need to build teaching facilities and undergraduate laboratories, because teaching facility building and also undergraduate laboratories are quite different from research laboratories, because research laboratories are based on our focus area, so based on our research focus. But undergraduate laboratories are quite different, where the fundamental demonstrations are there, the fundamental phenomena are demonstrated. So we need the attention on building teaching facilities and undergraduate laboratories. Again, nowadays, degree is actually entry qualification. Of course, our degree is highly touted and highly accepted by industry. However, when our students land there for them to be competitive, for them to perform well, it is better to have some certification programs also, like ISO 17024. This is a personal certification program where we can certify professionals like for the areas of chemical management, areas of sustainable management. So these kind of capacities will help our students to do much more value addition to their companies. And we produce around 80 chemical engineers every year. However, most of these students will go abroad. To address this problem, we can also introduce bridging MScs to our departments, where it will enable the other stream students, specifically chemistry students or biochemistry students, these students to join with the chemical process industry with bridging MScs. And more importantly, I see that we have very limited permanent staff members in Sri Lanka, and some of them will retire. But I think that we should not let this expertise to go away. Why? Because they have still working capacities. So at least up to 80, 70 years of age to tap their knowledge for research and as well as for the nationally important project. Because very soon, like we will use a lot of experienced professionals, but I think it's really unfortunate to lose such expertise, especially in the areas of research and nationally relevant projects. Okay. So, as I mentioned, most of slides were about my individual achievements and small team achievements, but here in this capacity building, we will have to work together as a very big team. I remember when I joined our department as a student, there was a really big project going on called Earth project. It is a World Bank funded project. That project not only involved academics, but as students, we involved in certain projects. So it was a huge enhancement for the capacities of Sri Lankan chemical engineers. So I think as a department, we have to collectively work for another major project like Earth, work collectively with everyone, including our students and also past students, to have a really impactful outcome in Sri Lankan domain. So, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the teachers, all the professors, senior lecturers, my parents, and my wife. All of these people had a tremendous value to my life, and thankful note for everyone who attended today and concluding my lecture. Thank you very much.
A heartfelt gratitude to you, Professor Thushara Subasinghe, for that insightful and compelling lecture. Your expertise and the insights shared with us have undoubtedly broadened our understanding of the topic. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly grateful for Professor Thushara Subasinghe, and it is our utmost duty to pay our utmost gratitude to him. So, to felicitate Professor Thushara Subasinghe with a token of appreciation, we will respectfully invite Senior Professor Padma Amar Singh. Dear Professor Thushara Subasinghe, please extend this lecture. It is said that every good thing must come to an end. So does this event. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to the conclusion of this session. But before that, we have to mention our sincere sponsors, and we would like to express our sincere gratitude to them. Cargill's Private Limited, our event sponsor, Delphi, our print media sponsor, and the Sri Lankan Scientists, our social media sponsor. Once again, our heartfelt thanks to our sponsors. With that, it's time to bid adieu to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for being such an unengaging and enthusiastic audience today. Looking forward to meeting you all in the 43rd edition of the inaugural lecture series brought forward to you by the Faculty of Graduate Studies of the University of Malta. Have a nice day, everybody.